Hello everyone. Welcome to the second part of the video for The Road Not Taken. Today we are going to discuss the literary devices for the poem. First, let us look into the rhyming scheme of the poem. Now, you can see in the right side of the screen, the first stanza of the poem is typed. What we will do for checking out the rhyming scheme is we will just look into the last word in each line and see whether they rhyme with each other. So two roads diverged in a yellow wood. We put a A there. And sorry, I could not travel both. Now both and wood does not tally, does not rhyme. So we put a B there. And be one traveler, long I stood. Stood and would they rhyme. So I put a A here and looked down one as far as I could. Could, stood, would, they rhyme, so I put a A here. To where it bent in the undergrowth. Growth and both, they rhyme, so I put a B here. So finally, my rhyming scheme of the poem comes out to be A, B, A, A, B. The second literary device of the poem is symbolism. Two roads which represents the two or more choices in our life. What is symbolism? When something else actually symbolizes a different thing other than what it is referred to in the poem. The third literary device is anaphora. Anaphora is when there is a repetition at the beginning of the line. Now you can have a look at the first stanza there in the screen. Line number 2, 3 and 4 all start with the word and. So here all the three lines with the words and is an example of anaphora. Alliteration. Alliteration is when a consonant sound is repeated. Wanted where. Now wanted where is the area where were sound is repeated. First for, the first sound is repeated. Though that, the sound is repeated. Repetition. Repetition is when a word is repeated in the line. So there is a word ages and ages hence. So ages is the repetition. Then two roads diverged in a wood. This line is again repeated in stanza 1 and stanza 4. So ages and the line two roads diverged in a wood are examples of repetition. Now just let us have a quick look at the summary of the poem. The poet says that once he was walking down the road and reached a fork. He could walk over one of the paths only. He took time to choose the right path. He inspected them to decide which was a better option, and then chose the one which seemed less walked over. He kept the other one for some other day, although he knew that he would never get the chance to walk over it. He would go further on to choose the path and not get a chance to go back on it. And as he walked on the chosen path, he realizes that both the paths were similar. He felt that his future depended on the choice that he makes. Some questions. Where does the poet find himself? What problem does he face? The traveler finds himself standing on a fork in the path. He is in a problem as he must choose one path and is unable to decide which one to choose. Question number 2. Discuss what these phrases mean to you. A yellow wood. Yellow wood refers to the forest which has withering leaves as in the season of autumn. It represents a world full of aging people. It was grassy and wanted wear. It means that the path had a lot of grass on it. This means that it had not been walked over by many people. It had to be worn out by the steps of the people who walked on it. The passing there. It means that when he walked over the path that he had chosen. Leaves no step had trodden black. It means that no one had walked over the leaves as they were green. If they had been walked over, they would have turned black. How way leads on to way. It means that as we walk on a path, we come across more options and make choices further. We keep on walking ahead on that way. Question number 3. Is there any difference between the two roads as the poet describes them in the stanza 2 and 3? The two paths were similar. In the beginning, the poet felt that one of them was grassy and had not been walked over by many people. But when he walked on it for some distance, he realizes that it was like the other road. Is there any difference between the path in the last two lines of the poem? Here, again, the poet talks of his initial decision where he thought that the roads were different and chose the one that had been walked over by a lesser number of people.